The coffee. Nah, we're not at that level yet. Get your day started in style. I'm ready to kick the start.
Sun FM 88.5.
All right, it's 08:13, and if you're rushing for work and you're supposed to be there at 8 hours, you're 13 minutes late. But since it's National Morning, we're not going to boo you today. We're going to, just make you feel guilty about it. Good morning, Dakazi.
Hi, good morning. How are you, Steve?
Great, thanks. How's your day going?
So far, so good.
Yeah? The cold is not really coding.
No, not really.
It's just like, a bit of a cold. Nothing.
But I think it's quite cold in the morning, especially if you're like outdoors. But by the time you get to like 8, it's fine.
You know, I haven't had my yearly, when the cold season comes, I usually have like some crazy flu that's going to mess up my whole day or my whole week, but nothing yet, man. Like, I'm still good.
Oh, yeah.
Change of weather hasn't changed anything in my house. Yeah. All right. A lot of things happening in our country, Zambia, today. So I don't know. We're still in limbo of what's happening with the former late president, Edgar Chagwa Lungu, and when he's going to be received in our country. Yesterday, a lot of drama happened. Social media obviously had a lot of detectives and a lot of people that are analyzing things about what's happening in with the ceremony. I don't know. We don't know what's happening now. Whether National Mourning will continue until unspecified period, because the date for National Mourning to end is the 23rd of June, and it's still going on. So the possibility of burying a president in another country, is that something that has been happened before in our history?
Well, this is something that has definitely happened. There are certain presidents who have died away from home and they've been buried in the places where they have died. These include presidents who had been in exile, or just presidents who had who weren't in good standing with the current leadership at the time of their death. Yeah. Examples would be Idi Amin.
Idi Amin.
Idi Amin. He was buried somewhere in Saudi Arabia.
He stayed in Saudi Arabia for a while after he ran away.
Yes. Yeah. So Idi Amin was buried in Saudi Arabia, and that has been his resting place. We also have presidents like Mobutu Sese Seseko. He was the deposed Congolese president. He died in 1977 in Morocco, and then his remains were not repatriated to his home country. He was instead buried in a Christian cemetery in Morocco. Today, he's still buried in Morocco. Wow. There has been no repatriation of the remains of Idi Amin. Yes. But then there are also other presidents whom we see who have been buried in other countries, and then after the burial, they've been years later, their remains have been brought back home. So some of these presidents, and by the way, there has always been drama when it comes to the deaths of African presidents.
There's always been?
Always been. Not just here in Zambia, even Zimbabwe. If you remember the death of Robert Mugabe, his family was saying, we want his body, it's ours. The government was saying, no, we are the ones who got to bury him. Eventually, his family won the dispute, and they buried him where they wanted to bury him. So we've seen, such kind of things happening. But then there are also people like Kwame Nkrumah. He died while receiving medical treatment in Romania. He was first buried in Guinea, where he'd been living in exile, and then his body was later brought to Ghana, where they had a state funeral in the capital, and he was laid to rest in his home village. But he died in one country, buried in another country, and then later on is when, so I don't know.
His body was all over the place. Yeah. Where do you want to get buried when you pass away?
I always wanted to be buried next to my grandma, but then my grandma is buried in a public grave, like we have Kansenshi or Mitengo Cemetery. My preference would be a private grave. I don't like...
You don't like crowds?
I don't like crowds. So if I died, I would like to be buried alone, literally alone, without, I wouldn't want to be buried in a public cemetery.
Yeah, and just hope that your relatives to come will not sell the property.
Yes. Yeah. I would have loved to be buried next to my grandma, but like I said, it can happen. Somebody else is already buried next to her. So, yeah. And I also would not want to be buried at a public cemetery.
So you see what will happen, right? When you do pass away, we're going to play this recording for your family and say, you know what? Ndakazi, no matter what you want, this is what Ndakazi said, and she said it on the show.
Yeah.
So we're going to hold on to the body until until you guys keep our Sun FM demands.
And the thing is that we need to look at, like, if I'm speaking on a personal level, we need to look at the financial capabilities of my family at the time. Are they able to afford to bury me in a private grave? You know, can my demands, my wishes be met in death, or can they not?
Yeah.
We need to be realistic. I don't come from an elite aristocratic family. You know, I come from a middle income family. So what they might afford is a burial plot at Kansenshi Cemetery, or if they're really broke, Mitengo. So even when I make these remarks, I need to bear in mind that my family might not be able to actualize my death wish.
They just put me in ShopRite plastic and leave me on the side of the road. I'll be fine.
No.
Like, I mean, for me, when I'm dead, I'm dead.
Yeah.
I mean, it's for people and how they want to remember me. And that's how they want to bury me. So you bury me the way you want to remember me. If you want to, you want to cremate me and put me in a jar that you'll be looking at for the rest of your lives, or smoke me, or whatever you want to do that. I mean, if you want to bury me in Kansengo, if you want to bury me in whatever, do whatever you want to do. What
would you prefer, though?
I'll just make sure it's in Indola. That's what I want to do. I just want to be buried in Indola.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. If I die in Romania, you have to bring me back and bury me in Indola. Yeah.
Why?
Because I love Indola.
No.
Like, I really love this place. I wasn't born here.
The love runs 6 feet deep.
Yeah, we found water, man. We found water down there. All right, so in the studio, we have two beautiful people. One is older than the other. Yeah. One is one is young, one is old. Okay, just two beautiful people, yeah?
You should have ended at that.
Yeah,
the rest was not necessary.
Yeah, I just messed up my day, somebody's day. Well, Joanna Billy, who's a sickle cell advocate, she's been on this show for years. How do you feel being on this show for how many years now?
Isn't it 5?
Yeah, it's been a while. It's been a long time. You've been coming on this show for a long period of time. And then we have a person who's been here on the show before, yeah, but now she's wearing a different sort of uniform because she's now in grade 8. How are you doing, Chimwemwe Kaliati? How are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, thank you. How are you?
Good. How was it getting into grade 8? How was the transition from primary school to grade 8?
Different, but it's fine.
You're not the big people now at the school. You're the small people at the school. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So have you gotten the? Do they still do that like they used to do when we were growing up at Bazeze? Do you still go to Bazeze?
No.
They don't, eh?
No.
They should bring that back.
My
We've lost our culture.
We have.
We need to call people Bazeze again. All right. So sickle cell is something that we talk about on the show a lot, and it's nice to see Billy, Joanna Billy, who is always on social media talking about sickle cell and your area of sickle cell. And we also have Chimwemwe Kaliati, a great advocate as well, especially for young people who are going through this. How's your cold season going? Because we know people with sickle cell do not like the cold season. What's been happening with you?
Well, I got sick last week. It was bad, but at least I'm better now because I had to go to the hospital and be on a couple of drips and medication. And I'm fine now. So to every sickle cell warrior out there, keep warm because this cold, it's cold in and it's not playing. Yeah.
So what about you, Chimwemwe? Anything that's been happening with the change of season? That now we're in the cold season now.
No, not really. Just the same thing of keeping warm, drinking a lot of warm stuff. Yes.
Okay. So, I mean, when you get to school, I mean, I know you're in grade 8. When you get to school, do you have to carry like a flask or something like that in the cold season?
Yes. But for me, I haven't been carrying of late and I have to continue. So I'd advise people that are even working to do so. So, yes. And for me, when going to school, I usually wear my leggings and, just to keep myself warm. With socks.
Yeah.
It's really cold, especially in classes.
Yeah, classes are really cold.
They are.
Yeah. So tell us how it went. How your trip went. Like going from from another school to another school. Obviously, you have sickle cell. What did you let the school know? Does everybody know? Do your friends know? Is it important that they know?
Yes, they do know. My friends know, my teachers, they all know. So usually if I'm not feeling well at school, they'd advise I'd go to the secretary like immediately because they don't want other things to come in.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. So, I mean, how have you been received at your new school?
I've been received well. It's a really nice school. Yes, they keep us well and treat us how to be big girls.
Yeah. My tampo koropa. Are you shining yet?
Yes, we are. But no, for me, I usually just do the sweeping.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
What triggers an attack? I know there are things like conditions like asthma. Obviously, is triggered by quite a number of things. But for sickle cell, what are some of the triggers that you need to look out for?
The cold, dehydration. When it's very hot, also, so it's all about weather. The change of weather lets us know where we're supposed to be at. Like if it's really cold as at now, of course, you've seen we're in warm clothes, extra warm clothes. And we also have to keep hydrating because once we are dehydrated, something else happens. And if we don't take certain medications like hydroxyurea and folic acid, these are very, very important medications in the sickle cell warrior's life.
Yeah. In terms of sickle cell warriors, have you started a group? I know you two know each other now. Yeah. So I mean, is there a group like a WhatsApp group where you share points or you try to get together and feel like you're not the only people around?
So at this point, Chimamo and I are actually advocating on Facebook and on our TikToks. We do have a WhatsApp group, but then it's not really active. But we get more people to see what we're doing on Facebook.
All right.
Yes.
When it comes to sickle cell, I mean, we've talked about it so much on this show. I feel like we're trying to debunk a lot of myths about sickle cell. And do you feel like the message has been going around, or there's still a lot of learning to do, especially like with you, Chimwemwe? You're young, you're around young people. Do young people really know what you have?
I wouldn't say, I'm not really sure how many people really know, but we still teach them and they get to understand more.
Do people come to you and ask you?
Usually, yes. They just come up to me saying, "No, Chimwemwe, I would like to know how you really feel at times." And then I tell them, no, there are these days when I'm just fine and these days when I'm not fine. Like, they're not just my days. Yes. So I usually